Yeah, music.
All right.
Music's
Yeah.
consuming.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, we'll get to my week in music too a little
Yeah,
bit, and it was a
yeah.
good week for me, and I know it's been a good week for you, or a
Oh,
good start of this week.
it's been a good start. So
Yeah,
I'll just go ahead and kick us off. Hey, welcome everybody to the Unconnoisseur channel. My name is Drew, and I'm one of your co-hosts on this journey.
and my name is Matt. I'm the other co-host.
And by now, you realize that our journey in jazz music has taken us through a whole lot of albums. What are we on now? 21 weeks of having this conversation. This week's episode is going to be a little bit different. We're going to start things off with some audio clips right before the slideshow. Why
Yeah,
don't we do
before.
that?
Yep.
And Matt and I, we've been talking about this particular artist. Do you want to introduce this week's artist for us?
Sure, I will. Number 79 in the Jazzwise Top 100 countdown, the top 100 albums that shook the world. Number 79 is Courtney Pine, and the album is Journey to the Urge Within. It was released on the Island label on LP and CD in 1986. So Courtney Pine is the artist that we're going to talk about this week. So without further ado, let's start. Which clip are you going to start with? You want to start
We're
with
going to start with Misinterpret.
Misinterpret? Here we
Because
go.
I think, Matt, that it launches us in to what this album is really about. So here we go.
All right. That was 35 seconds.
Man, I tell you, just the excitement. I'm watching the screen at your face, and I'm trying to contain my excitement on mine. Yeah, if you can
Yeah.
imagine what kind of album you're faced with when it kicks off like that.
Well, we told them last week to put Courtney in their ears for this week, and I hope some of our listeners did.
Yeah.
So that was clip number one was Misinterpret, which is song number one on the album Journey to the Urge Within. So that was song number one, that, like Drew said, the very opening to the album, and it just gets you, it sucks you in kind of right up front, right?
Yes,
right in the
it
beginning.
does.
You're like, oh boy, if this is what I'm in for, I'm staying on board. So
It's like the roller coaster beginning at the downhill. No climb necessary, just straight into it. The second clip that I want to play, because I think it does represent really well where we're going with this. We go from an exciting, well, we stay with the exciting. It's all downhill from here. It's just wide open throttle and a seatbelt on a roller coaster. This song that we want to play here is Children of the Ghetto. So let's roll that audio clip.
She has got an amazing voice.
Yes, she does.
Her name is Susie Green, the vocalist on this album, and she does. She's got an amazing voice, crystal clear, and it's just wow! It blew me away. The vocals blew me away. It did. I'm serious. I'm so excited.
And for y'all listening, go check out the song in the entirety, because wow, she just continues to wail throughout that.
Yeah.
The thing that hits me on that song is when the bass line finally kicks in. We
Mhm.
needed to put a slide up of who had played on it, so I'll do that right now. But Carlos, I'm sorry, he was on Barry sax. Gary Crosby on the bass. When that bass kicks in, you just know that whatever you're feeling was just solidified. Yes, that's the song that this is going to be.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
The whole album kind of, yeah, we got the slideshow and conversation to come, but yeah, just
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, come on, Matt. You had made a suggestion about the third song that we want to
Okay.
drop in. Tell me about your decision on this third song.
Well, this third song is actually on a different Courtney Pine album, but I think it goes to show his creativity, the scope of his creativeness, mixing modern day some modern day rock. There's a slight reggae feel to it. There's some rap kind of stuff going on, some DJ stuff going on. So let me play this clip right here, and then we'll formally,
Okay,
yeah, we'll
we'll tell you what
formally.
the name of it is and what album it
Oh,
was on.
you want me to tell?
Nope,
Well,
we'll
here.
do that after the song because it'll. Tell me the name of the song again.
It's called "In the Garden of Eden."
And the album
And then
was.
in parentheses, thinking inside of you. Thinking inside of you. The name of the album is a modern day jazz stories.
I'll put that slide on screen
yeah.
right now so you can see the CD cover.
And it brought tears to my eyes. I'm sorry. I do get emotional because you and I told you before you hit record, this is one of those songs. That song in particular has kind of been one of my anthem songs the last 60 weeks. It's one of the ones that I will go back to if I'm feeling blue and I need to pick me up, if I'm depressed and I need to get out of a funk. If I'm happy, I'm going to in the car.
There's become something about Courtney Pine in general. Understanding his history and legacy, understanding the music is one thing, but I could care less who he is. You can hear him in his music. And there's just something warm and embracing, something exciting and powerful, something. This is the first time I'll say I begin to hear who the artist really is through the way in which they craft a song. And then you dig into Courtney and understand who he is, where he's from, what's his heritage and culture, what's he doing today, and then it starts to make sense. The personal journey that he's on in the songs. I saw you tearing up. I was going to comment, and I thought I better not say anything. And then I thought I better say something because I'm going to start crying too. And I'm just going to zone out and forget that we hit record some time ago. That's
yeah. I don't care. I really don't. That he truly does move me, and I've been playing Courtney this week, especially for my wife, for Kendra. And I had Misinterpret on in the car yesterday, and she's like, "Oh man, that's cool." She's like, "I like that."
Yep.
And she likes the cool groove to it. Kind of when Courtney goes off and does his wailing on the sax, she doesn't care for that too much, but she likes the style of songs, and that makes me happy because now we can share Courtney Pine together. She, I remember specifically the week that we were studying Courtney, and and I played them in the Garden of Eden. And you have to understand that Kendra and I were old school, and we used to watch Beavis and Butthead.
Oh yeah.
And the big joke on Beavis and Butthead was fire, fire, right? And so she made fun of the song when I played it for her the first time. Yep. Because he talks about says fire in the song, but anyway, I still love the song, and it moves me to this day to listen to it, and I'm not afraid to admit it.
Nope. They're coming back out with the new Beavis and Butthead, if I understand anything correctly. Yeah. I'll be thinking about that now when I see it. I'll have to go listen to this song. That's bad. Oh, that's
it is bad.
Why are you watching Beavis and Butthead? Well, it's a long story, but Courtney Pine.
Courtney Pine, yeah.
You and Kendra used to do the Egghead when it was like whatever it was. You'd say Egghead, and she would respond with, "Oh, it's software. Egghead software. Beavis and Butthead, Courtney Pine. Nothing in common, but
mom's calling me right now.
Oh boy.
Hi, Mom. I'm sorry I can't answer your call.
I'm listening to jazz. You better take that. They were on their way to Ohio. We're going to take a quick break for station identification. There are some times when it is required to talk to...
Hi.
I just said we're almost to Ern's house, but I just tried to call Kenny and didn't get any answer. And he wasn't at church yesterday, so we were just wondering if you guys have talked to him.
We talked to him on Saturday. We talked to him on Saturday, and he was doing okay. He was feeling a little bit better. So I don't know if Kendra called him today or not. She won't be able to hear you because you're. But it's
but
funny
I can hear her.
But Drew can hear you too because we're in the middle of recording the Unconnoisseur right now. So. You're gonna make a special guest appearance on the Unconnoisseur.
Oh, you guys are bad. You're funny. Oh, by the way, we're going past Barnes Funeral Home right now.
Oh, you're going past the funeral home?
Can you drop Dad off?
I'll take a picture.
I'll be right there.
Drew said, "Drop Dad off, and we'll be right there for biscuits and gravy."
I love it. Okay, get back to recording. Thank you.
Okay.
Love you guys.
Love you. Bye. Drew says love you too. Bye.
Oh, man. Did you really just say drop your dad off at a funeral home? I think just to clarify, now we got to tell the story for the whole world to hear.
Please tell the story. It's so.
So my grandfather, Verlin Sr., passed away.
Our.
I keep saying our. I tell the story because it's usually me talking to anybody but the family. So our grandfather, Verlin Rice Sr., had passed away. And they were my father and his sister, Barb, and her husband, John, Uncle John and Barb, were making the arrangements at Barnes Funeral Home. Dad said it's going to be a while, so there's a cafe down the street. Just go get some coffee, and we'd already had breakfast at the house. So little brother, myself, Matt, and Mom were in the car. Kendra was with us as well.
It was Caleb that
Caleb,
year.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So we've got a van full of people dropping Dad off at the funeral home to make arrangements, and we headed down to have a coffee. And it turned into second breakfast because they had homemade biscuits and gravy. Well, no one, including my mother, I'll throw her under the bus, took their phones into the restaurant. Well, an hour and a half had passed, and I don't think anybody paid attention, and we were at 2-hour window before somebody finally said, "Has your dad called?" "He's not called. How come I thought we were going to pick him up when he was ready." To which we all said, "I don't have my phone. Do you have your phone?" "No, I don't have mine." So we all ran out to the car. Well, he had called every single cell phone probably a dozen times. So we had to drive back to the funeral home just a couple of minutes away, in which we left him at the funeral home. Barb and John were about to leave, and still today, how many years later?
Yeah.
3-4 years later. He is.
He's still
he's
pretty
never.
bitter about that.
He really
He's still
is.
pretty bitter.
We've tried to make it up. We went to.
Yeah.
We had biscuits and gravy with him last year when we talked
At-
about.
At Clem's, yeah.
Yes.
We went to Clem's and had biscuits and gravy, didn't we?
Lily and Mom picked up biscuits and gravy when Dad and I were riding in Ohio last year as well. So we're trying to make it up. If you got any suggestions how we can make up to our father for abandoning in the beginning, abandoning him at the funeral home, please let us know. Anyways, back to the regularly scheduled program. Thanks, Mom, for the good laugh. Well, that laugh was on Dad, not Mom.
Well, here, I got a recommendation. You ready? Here, this is going to help a lot. Build a bridge and get over it.
Oh, man.
That sounds like something he would say.
It does. It does.
Yeah. So
after followed up with, so how did that make you feel? It made me feel special.
It made me feel hungry for biscuits and gravy.
Right? Is it time for second breakfast already? And they were good. So, Courtney Pine.
Courtney Pine, back on track.
I think after after that interruption, that excitement, let's keep that going. Some slideshow. I wanted.
Well, let me read a quote. Let me read a quote by Courtney, and then I'll put the slideshow up, and I'll let you talk about the quote. Let me read the quote. In the Penguin Guide to Jazz, this is a quote right from the Penguin Guide to Jazz from Courtney Pine. Here's what he said: "Jazz is a kind of ghetto, or it's maybe like an exclusive club where the members get away with murder because they make the rules and they have the jazz writers out there waiting to enforce the rules like referee." So he's saying it's an exclusive club, and those who write the rules are the ones who are telling you how to follow the rules.
Wow.
So talk about that for just a minute while I get this up.
I don't even know what to say about that. That was a pretty deep statement right there. That's a tough one for me to wrestle with. So here's my plug. By the time this comes out, Texas Jazz and Blues Camp will have come to a finalized end. This week at Texas Jazz and Blues Camp, the camp is teaching students about jazz music and the fundamentals of it, both in improv as well as music theory. They're given an opportunity to play in combos, and there are, I think, 10 combos, as well as every day they have choir practice. So by now, the videos are already out. You've had an opportunity to watch them, and I'll be posting links both on my YouTube channel at Drew Rice Photography, as well as New School of Music Austin's, and we'll push some of those through here on the Unconnoisseur channel as well. I was able to be on stage this past Sunday at Monk's Jazz, which was super exciting to be playing my trumpet. I had a trumpet solo on Blue Bossa. So even a 50-year-old man and all these middle school and high school students, it's never too late to learn to play an instrument. Do you have that slideshow ready? Is that enough?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. All right. So this week, again, Courtney Pine, Journey to the Urge Within is the name of the album. And there's just a quick shot of the album cover. I tell you, it's not my favorite album cover. I get it. I do. I like the way that you kind of can't see it's overblown in the middle because it's the urge to go within, but it's not my favorite. Not my favorite cover. I do like it, but it's not my favorite. What about you?
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I would have. Yeah. I could have used either one of those on the cover, but it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't reference the journey within.
Right. Just a couple of pictures of Courtney. You know, he's a cool looking cat, for sure. And it's funny because the pictures online are him holding the soprano sax, but he's a multi-instrument player. And we'll talk about that in just a minute too, his multi-instrumentalism. And he chooses to hold the soprano. But anyways, I love his hat in that bottom picture.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
Reminds me of mine.
Yep.
Maybe that's why I like it.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. This quote on the slideshow really caught my attention because I could put myself in his shoes. I remember 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th grade. And here's his quote: "Carrying my instrument home at the end of each day made me feel better about myself somehow. And when I went into my room, nobody could tell me how to practice." And again, that's kind of, it hits me spot on, because yep, I'd carry my horn, like I said, from 5th grade on. Carried my horn back and forth, and couldn't wait to get home and start practicing. but so I love, that's the actual picture right off of his website.
Yes.
Courtney Pine's website. So a little bit of info about Courtney. He was born in 1964, still alive today. His influences: he actually studied the classical clarinet and taught himself the sax at the age of 14. Reggae was the first kind of music he learned and kind of enjoyed playing. And that didn't strike me just based on where he was born and his background. And he talks about his history quite in depth about his heritage and his history of being born in Jamaica. The discography: he's got 16 studio albums. He's got 4 more albums as a sideman, and then he's got 6 singles out. So that's 26 albums that you could listen to, or 26. It's 20 albums and 6 singles. So it's a good amount of listening for Courtney. And I have to admit that I listened to probably 9 of his studio albums. So
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It was a week of binging Courtney Pine for sure. The genre that he falls in is just straight jazz. At least that's what's listed on the wiki page. And again, we talked about that while we listened to In the Garden of Eden. But his genre, I don't know. I don't necessarily like the label of just jazz, but to pigeonhole him, he's not a rapper, but you could add kind of,
Yeah.
I don't know.
This is where things start to get blended. If you really think about what world music is, and where jazz came from and where they meet and collide, everybody has some kind of a blues. Whether they're from the West Indies, whether they're from Jamaica, the South, or Appalachian Mountains, they have their kind of style of blues. The jazz comes from that. Everything spins, and then you start blending those, and it's tough to call it jazz. I agree with you. It's tough to just pigeonhole that and say it's jazz, but
Right. I mean, it is jazz, but
it is. It is.
yeah, but it is. So I didn't. The reason I put his work history up here is because this is the week for me that I realized you are much smarter than I am, because you were really paying attention in the previous weeks, and when we turned the page or revealed who was coming up this week, I said, "Oh man, have we ever heard of Courtney Pine before?" And you're like, "Yep, we sure have." Just a few weeks ago, covering the Jazz Warriors. So,
So now's a good reminder. Go back to the Jazz Warriors album and listen to it after listening to Courtney Pine. Can you pick him up in that album?
Ooh, that would be
There's your homework assignment, everybody.
there's your homework. Yeah. Anyway, so he was a one of the founding members and one of the leaders of the Jazz Warriors. He started the Venus Warriors, which is an all-female group, just like the Jazz Warriors. And then he's on the Jazz Crusade radio program on BBC. So I failed to check that out this week because I just ran out of time. But I would really be interested in seeing if we can get the BBC Jazz Crusade radio program. Now, the Order of the British Empire is an award that's given out, and it's almost like I don't want to say it's an honorary knightship, but it's close. So he won that award in 2000 and became a member of the Office of the Order of the British Empire. And then in 2009, they asked him to be the commander of the order. So that was another very big honor for Courtney, to be asked to become the commander of the Order of the British Empire. He is from Britain, from England, so it It's not like he's an outsider being asked to do that. So I just found that interesting that it was, really listed on the wiki page and the commander of the Order of the British Empire. So it's big deal for him. He was awarded an honorary doctorate from the University of Southampton in 2010. So we should call him Dr. Pine.
Dr. Pine. Sir, Dr. Pine.
Sir. Yeah, there's only one other person we've called Sir and on our journey so far. But yeah, that was Brad, Sir Brad. So the 6 degrees, did you find the 6 degrees? Let me tell you my 6 degrees, and then we'll talk about.
I see it on the screen. It's the same one I came up with, and I'll tell you how I got to Charnette in a moment.
Okay. Well, yeah, Courtney played with Charnette Moffat. Of course, Charnette Moffat and Herbie Hancock played together, and Hancock and Miles. So I got 1, 2, 3. Well, Courtney is 1, Charnette 2, Herbie Hancock 3, and then Miles is 4. So really 3 degrees of separation between Courtney Pine and Miles.
In an interview, he was asked about ever playing with, or did you have the opportunity to meet Miles Davis? This is my 6 degrees on that. And he said, well, he did walk past me at a gig in Nice once. So he did not have any interaction, but Miles walked past him.
Wow.
So I don't know exactly what year that was, but that would have probably been in the 80s, right in his last few years. But
yeah,
that Charnette, I got to that. I'll talk about that in a moment, though.
All right, cool. So let me go to the next slide. And today in jazz history, June the 19th, pianist John Hicks records Impressions of Mary Lou Williams in 1998. Now, I did not rabbit hole down John Hicks this week just because of the sheer amount of listening that we were doing together. But he is on my radar to pick up. If he's anything close to Sir Brad, I think I'm going to dig John Hicks. So one final quote from Courtney Pine on my slideshow. The search for harmony or the perfect melody, solo, chord, or rhythm is more important than celebrity. He's in search for that, much like Coltrane was in search of his for Love Supreme.
Well,
so
and in a Ron Carter documentary, he said, I'm looking for the perfect combination of notes. He said, what are you going to do now? It was the 80th birthday. What are you going to do? And he says, I'm still looking for the perfect combination.
Yeah.
And that kind of touches that quote right there.
All right. That's the slideshow. Thanks so much for letting me do that. I actually really look forward to putting that together each week. So thank you so much for letting me do that.
Well, I look forward to it personally because it's your story. It's your journey. It's the things that you're looking at and the things that stand out. How I came up with Charnette Moffat was a little bit different from my 6 degrees. What album did he also play on that we just fanboyed over a couple of weeks ago? Black Codes from the Underground.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And so I looked, you start by looking at all the names on this, and it wasn't actually on this album that Charnette played. It was on Modern Day Jazz Story. And so I've written that down, and I'm like, okay, so how did we get across that? Modern Day Jazz Stories, Charnette Moffat played on his album was Bright New Day. And I was looking at that, and I thought, I know the name. Well, when you read his Wikipedia and you realize, oh yeah, Black Codes from the Underground. So then there was my first leap, and my journey. Tell me about your week before I tell you about my journey, my rabbit hole to Stanley Clarke.
All right.
Mark.
Okay, so on Friday night, German Fest was going on in Fort Wayne this weekend, so we got to go down to German Fest. There's nothing like hearing a German polka band play "In the Mood."
That's awesome.
Now, unfortunately, awesome. we were bogged down with bratwurst and sauerkraut, German potato salad, and our and our drink of choice happened to be a German beer, and they started playing In the Mood, and the dance floor was packed. And I'm like, I want to go dance so bad, but my hands were full, and we were looking for a place to sit and eat. So had a great time at German Fest this week. We didn't stay terribly long, but the time that we spent there, we had a great time. Saturday, Kendra and I got to drive down to Ruoff Music Center and see Hootie and the Blowfish. So had live music in my ears Saturday night. Cool part about that is I didn't even look who was opening up for Hootie, and they had two openers, and Edwin McCain, who I'm a very, very big fan of. Edwin McCain, been following his music since his initial release, and I'll tell the story if you want to hear it, but otherwise, if you don't know who Edwin McCain is, you've probably heard him at a wedding. Plays the song "I'll Be," beautiful song. But his music, he's a Berkeley grad. He's got his master's in music. Struggled in the 2000s with some abuse issues, some substance abuse issues, but he's climbing his way back. I've seen him on TikTok. I've seen him, doing some work and just kind of working his way back. Him and Darius Rucker are really good friends anyways. So we saw Edwin open for Hootie in 1995. And that's pretty much when when his first album came out. I'm an Edwin McCain fanboy. I'm not afraid to admit that. And my wife and I have been Hootie fans since their first album too. So we did realize that this was our 11th. I say it was 12. She said it was 11 times seeing Hootie in concert. So
wow.
yeah.
How cool is that?
So, yep. So we had a great weekend of music. So now tell me about yours.
I've had a full week. There is no doubt in my mind that this week has been a wild roller coaster. 2 weeks ago, we finished up Lily's school for the year. She'll be a sophomore next year, so she's out for the summer, which means that I get to make her go with me to different events, to say the least. Tuesday night, we got to go to Monk's Jazz to hear our old mentor and one of the teachers that helped Joe Morales on Sunday nights at the Jazz Ensemble, Spencer Foster. His quartet, if he watches this, he'll highly disagree. But Matt, I called you to tell you, I think he plays a lot like, feels a lot like his sound, the crispness, the cleanness. We had mentioned his name earlier, Brad Mehldau. Spencer has such a beautiful way with the keys and such a quiet soul. It reminded me a lot of Brad. So Lily and I did that at Monk's Jazz. Well, our new current intern and instructor and mentor, Milo Himsoth, is also a pianist, and his trio played on Thursday night. So we got to go to Monk's Jazz on Thursday night and check out his trio. Those three together were just phenomenal. The drummer just so delicate on the drums. The bass player had so much fun, and Milo's approach to music, the way he thinks, feels, the way he plays. I'm not gonna put him up there with the Brad, but he's got a freestyle of playing a piano that just phenomenal. So we did that on Tuesday and then Thursday night. All week long, I have been stressing because Sunday I was going to be on the stage at Monk's Jazz with the New School Jazz Ensemble. They meet every Sunday night, and Lily and I have been part of that group, and I've been learning to play. I've been honing my solo for Blue Bossa over and over to the point where this week Sarah was whistling it. So I think both Lily and Sarah had it memorized, and I was still working on memorizing it. We had 6 tunes we were going to play, and one of them was an instrumental, which was Blue Bossa. So we played horns back up to our vocalist, who did a phenomenal job. And we got up at 1:30. We had a 1-hour set. I had fun, but I had, not as a musician, fun watching the kids play. the things that they've learned, the things that they've tried, the things that they've challenged themselves with was such a great joy. This Sunday was the kickoff for the Texas Jazz and Blues Camp, where I'll be doing the photos and video all week long. We've got some amazing world-renowned musicians teaching the students. And then we have master classes being led by many of these world-renowned musicians. Last night I heard faculty band. This morning we had all the names that I could just keep going on. This was day one. So we were part of the kickoff set with that, yes, on Sunday. And then the interns, which they have serving this week, they came in for the second set. And then the faculty band came in to run the next set. And this whole week of jazz has got me jazzed, to say the least.
So let me ask you a couple of questions. How did Lily perform? And she had a solo in Blue Bossa too, correct?
Route 66, she'll correct me on that later, and Blue Bossa.
And Blue Bossa.
Yep.
And
man,
nailed it.
her stuff on Blue Bossa, she's fine-tuned that. I had to write a solo down. I transcribed it. Somebody had played this, and I worked really hard to transcribe it. I've ended up playing it over and over and over again because it's all written down. For her, she just hears it and plays. But since we've done Blue Bossa as a father-daughter a year and a half ago, her solo has only gotten better. And there's a point when she starts to feel something in her second chorus of the solo, and it's not what I've heard before. And she just kind of let it go. And in Route 66, she's looking at no chord chart. They got no sheet music in front of them. She just let it rip. And when it was done, honestly, not because she was my daughter, but mostly because she was, everybody's solos were so meaningful, and they just let it go. And yeah, she nailed it. It was so exciting to watch.
Yeah, well, it's so funny that you mentioned Blue Bossa and her solo, because that's what sparked our whole journey. That's what started this whole thing a year and a half ago.
Yep.
And we've told the story. You've heard the story, but yeah. So thank you, Lily, for starting your journey for us and getting us started. So
and
we wouldn't be
I think
without Blue Bossa. Lily.
It was. Hey, can we play a duet for the talent show? I don't even know how to play that horn. Well, I'm going to learn. And then to be on a stage in front of, I think it holds 50 people. So it wasn't it's a big group. Don't get me wrong. And when you're staring at all the people, you're thinking, oh crap, don't screw up. Yeah, to see that come full circle on that particular song as well. It was when she finished, I reached up, and she was in the front row, the saxes in the front and the horn trumpets in the back. I reached up and we did knuckles because it was just one of those pure father-daughter times. And
Heck
yeah, she started all of this. What is jazz?
Yeah.
And I let's go to Courtney Pine, because
well, let me ask. Let me ask you one more question. I don't mean to hijack, but the crowd at Monk's, good crowd.
So Monk's Jazz, one of the greatest places that I think that you could experience. They do all of their live recordings. So the owner Colin gets up and says, "This is live recording. You're here to listen to music. There is no talking. Period. Be respectful of the musicians." And so when you sit down, you're sitting to listen to the musicians, and everybody extremely attentive. Half of the crowd was parents. The other half were supporters of the new school music and the Texas Jazz and Blues. So they were there to see what we could do. There are times when it gets loud because you're cheering and clapping for solos. There's an excitement in the air in the club. But Colin does his just expectations. So wonderful crowd. It's not a dinner crowd like I think at the club room. People are coming and going and eating, and there's plates, and there's your almost background music. We were the
main
focal.
course.
Yeah, we were the main course. Now I love going to Monk's because it is BYOB, so I get to take my rum and coke or a cold beer or.
We would not know what that's like in Indiana. So
No,
Mm-mm.
can't wait
No.
for you to come. We'll find out who's playing.
All right. So, yeah, Courtney,
Courtney.
tell me what you know about Courtney Pine.
So I think that our rabbit hole in Courtney Pine took us to all of his albums beyond just these. I mean, we played one from the modern day jazz, but Courtney coming up through the ranks started the Jazz Warriors to educate Black Britons in the jazz music. That was back in the 80s. And in the 80s in America, we had Wynton Marsalis and what they called the Young Lions. He began the Jazz Warriors as a way to promote jazz music as well as the cultural history of where the music is, where it was going. From there, his cohort in crime, Gary Crosby. Early years, I forgot to write the date down, but Gary Crosby then established Tomorrow's Warriors, and Tomorrow's Warriors continue today to promote jazz music in the London area. And so Courtney Pine really did begin a lot of that. His music, his soul, his style. I couldn't get enough of any of his music this week. If I put him on shuffle, I would end up going and looking at the album. YouTube Music does a shuffle at the end of an album. And so I'd look at that album and just hit play. And I'm like, come on, I've already listened to 20 of his albums, and now I'm going to go back and re-listen. His soul, the feel that I get on any one of his songs was enough just to really drive me. I had a lot of notes. I threw most of them out because it was Courtney Pine. His music moved me. We got some historical facts, and they talk a lot about it. I think that nobody's mentioned this, neither of us. It's the bass clarinet, baby. He plays the bass clarinet. I mean, come on, who does that? And the way in which he plays it it's moved me. Period. I don't want to learn the bass clarinet, but wow, I will enjoy him playing every single day of the week.
He made it cool, didn't he?
He did. Well, same thing with the soprano sax. I mean, Wayne Shorter did that, but he continues to make that soprano cool. I think he needs to play a curved horn soprano saxophone because those look really cool too.
Those look really cool too. Yeah, I agree.
What about you?
But he also plays the tenor sax. He also plays the EWI. He also plays the flute, right? Not on this album, but he does play the flute.
Yep.
So, being the multi-instrumentalist that he is already, he's a notch above. Well, and okay, I get it. You learn the tenor sax, you can play the alto sax, you can play the soprano sax because all the keyings are basically the same, right?
Nope.
No.
Between the tenor and the alto, they're different, and they're both different key signatures or keys. E flat on the on the alto, B flat on the tenor.
Okay.
The flute and the alto do have matching fingering. So some people can pick up the flute pretty easy from an alto sax, but the tenor's got different fingering. And different key signature. So, and by key signature, like the piano is in the key of C, the trumpet's in a B flat, tenor saxophone's in a B flat, which is how I ended up playing the trumpet because Lily's on a B flat instrument.
You better be careful. They're going to start calling us Beatos.
Well, dude, I was talking to a family last night who had gone to see Brad Maldonado. And I said, here in Austin, and I said, so did you guys watch the Rick Beato video with the interview? And they were like, no. Who's Rick Beato? And I was like, bring your phone out. I'm just going to type it up right now. So it was funny because I'm like, you're going to watch this interview. And they're like, oh my goodness, we just loved him. And I said, good, then you're going to enjoy the interview because you see who Brad really is. No, we're not.
The Unconnoisseur episode. I'm sure that you subscribed them to the Unconnoisseur so that they can watch our Brad Meltau.
We'll talk about Brad here. Link here. It's funny because I got to pick those up tonight or tomorrow morning. I've got some more brochures to hand out during this week for the channel. So I've got logos and QR codes. So yeah, that'll be a few.
Good.
But anyways, we got sidetracked on that one. But Courtney, just the way he plays, there's something soulful about it. Would you agree?
Oh, 1,000,000%. A million. I mean, it hit me right from the beginning. I can't remember if this was while we were recording or not, but Pat Metheny in his Rick Beato interview said if a song doesn't catch my attention in the first 5 or 10 seconds, it's background. It just goes into the back of my mind and I don't concentrate on it. Courtney hit me from the very first 2 or 3 seconds of the song, because we're talking about Journey to the Urge Within. You put on that album and you hear the first 30 seconds of Misinterpret that we've already played for him, and you're like, okay, I'm hooked. Let's see what else he's got. And then you just dive further in and further into the album, and then I'm hooked. And then on our typical rabbit hole, then we start going and listening to other albums, and you come up with Modern Day Jazz Stories and forget about that, because I've gone back to that more than
and I told
not,
you this.
Not more than I care to admit, but more than almost anything else that I've gone back to.
Yep. I concur. There are several albums that we do get stuck on where it's just like, I need this. Kamasi Washington to me is just one of those. Come on, I'll put him on just for no other reason. This one in Modern Day Jazz Stories, those are others. I may not go to Black Codes from the Underground, which I certainly love.
Agree.
But like this morning, I'm leaving the house early after not getting any sleep, and I'm like, well, do I listen to this week's artist that we're talking about, or do I go to Courtney Pine? Do I do Journey to the Urge Within, because I have to talk about it tonight, or do I go to Modern Day Jazz Stories? I'm like, yes. Can I listen to them all? So I'll just start Modern Day Jazz. And by the time I got to my destination to Jazz Camp this morning, I didn't want to turn the album off. I didn't want to get out of the car, especially because it's a big incline to the top of the building there. I'm like, I just don't want to make that walk, but I've got to. Or I will sit here all morning and listen to the rest of the album. It just, his music sucks you in.
Yeah, it sure does. And I hope that you guys who are listening took our recommendation last week and put him in your ears for this week, so that you get a feel for what we're talking about and how excited we really are for Courtney. Because if you haven't and you're listening, man, I don't want to tell you to pause the video and go listen to Courtney Pine, but as soon as the video's over, please pull up Courtney Pine. No matter what album you pull up, you're going to have a good time. He's going to move you one way or the other, and
you'll be in tears because there's just something about it. And like Misinterpret, when you begin with that, funny, is it vocal? What is it? What's going on? The jive like that, and all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, I'm just smiling because I don't know what to make of this. And I think that's the exciting part. It really is. Jazz is something.
And if Kendra says, wow, that's cool, it's got to be cool.
That's like,
because she is a true unconnoisseur.
Yeah.
She's a true unconnoisseur, and for her to say, wow, that's really cool, my head kind of got big at that point, and I'm like, yeah, it is cool.
Matt, I'm hoping next year, as we talk back to Courtney Pine on the channel, as we have this year, I hope we look back and that's when we decide maybe we got beyond the unconnoisseur, because Courtney's just the tip of the iceberg for where we're at. We've moved beyond the first 20 albums. We're now at 79, making our approach still not halfway to the 50% mark, but we're learning something about jazz. I want to ask that question of you, because I know that you've got your trumpet out because you've got a solo piece that you want to work on. As you listen to more jazz, what is it that you're learning about jazz music from a listener? I had to think about that this week.
After all that I've listened to and all that I've read and all the quotes that I pick up, in my mind, jazz is not perfect. You do not have to be perfect to play jazz. And I struggled with that when I was a musician myself. I always wanted to be perfect. We talked on Wynton Marsalis week how technically proficient of a player he is. but you don't have to be perfect to play jazz. You don't have to be perfect to listen to jazz. That's the other cool thing, because
Nope.
I'm far from perfect. But man, you throw on some jazz in my ears and I'm golden. You just forget about it. So for me, especially, man, if you're thinking about learning an instrument, I hate to say this because I like country music, but it's kind of the country music of music. I feel like almost anybody can do country music and get away with it, and people love them. And I'm thinking of Darius Rucker because Hootie and the Blowfish, and he's got his solo country career. And jazz is kind of the same way. You can even a even a even a par player will be good at jazz because it doesn't have to be perfect.
Nope. And that's what the blues was too.
Mm-hmm.
It helps to know what you're doing, but it's not mandatory.
Yeah.
Pick the notes that sound good, pick the notes that feel good. And I think that what I've learned from listening to jazz, if we just talk about it over 21 weeks, these first 21 that we've been through to get to Courtney Pine, is that there's always something different. And you have to accept it. Not forcefully, but it's different. Some's too many notes. Some of it we don't like because it's vocal. Some doesn't sit well with us because it doesn't sound like jazz, Peter Broadsman. But some of these things start to hit us, and we realize that there's a different taste for everybody. And what is that taste? What is that? What's the perception of what jazz music is? Before Texas Jazz and Blues 2 years ago, now it is officially 2 years because this is her third year, I didn't get jazz. It sounded like just blah. Somebody threw notes on a plate, scrambled them up, and then served them to you. As I began to dig into this, what I'm noticing, and we talk about it a lot, my brain's firing. There's more things around me going on than I ever knew. And one of the guys teaching a master class this morning said, the question was asked because his bio said improv readiness.
Ooh.
And so Don Braden asked him, what does this mean? And he said, life is about improv. You got to be ready. You're going to get a flat tire in a car. You're going to have this happen. You're going to have that happen. You're going to show up at 8 a.m. and no one is there except for a bunch of parents to sign their kids in. What do you do? For me, that's improv. And music becomes the same thing. Somebody throws a set of notes out and plays it. What do you do in response? This call and response begins to happen. Does it have to be perfect? What it has to be is existing. And today that came out. I had a jam session at the end of the camp at 4:30 to, they're probably still playing. There are probably kids still on stage playing right now, and the instructors are horrified because they've been playing since 8 a.m. 12 hours of music is a bit much on the chops, so stop. But the kid wouldn't get up with his trombone. And I said, why don't you just go play some wrong notes? Well, I don't want to do that. I said, sure you do. Just get up. And his parents are there, got cameras, and he didn't. And he said, I don't know what I'm going to play. I said, well, tell me what your fear is. We went up to the band and I said, what key are you playing this in? And they give us the key. And I said, so here might be your notes. I'm not a musician at this level, but I see a kid who really desires to be on stage and is horrified. And I know the kids on stage because I've been photographing them all day. So why not ask them? So I went and told him, I said, you can't play a wrong note. What you can do is fail at getting up there. Get up there, play all the wrong notes, or just tell the band, hey, I want to sit in, but I don't know what I'm doing. Be honest. Kid got up on stage with his trombone and blew the doors off of the building. And I thought, I'm trying to give him a pep talk about what notes he could play on a solo. He knew it. And I'm thinking, man, I'm never going to sit next to that kid and play because I really am the beginner.
Well, that... I have to say, I'm a happy jealous for you. I'm happy for you, but I'm also jealous in my heart because the quote from Winton that sticks in my head right now is, you gotta go there to know there. And you, my friend, are going there. You are in the trenches. You are Courtney pining it right now.
I am, and I realized that today leaving the camp. If I can encourage, if we, you and I can encourage one person to start listening and appreciating jazz music, then I've done my job. And my job isn't to convert everybody to jazz music, but I understand the jazz messengers from their days. We're bringing a music that is a small percentage of the music. And what I really feel like is that if I can help somebody learn the music, I'm not a music teacher. I'm not going to pretend to be that. I've still got to figure out how to play my own horn. But if we can get people into jazz and the excitement, what I talked to another gentleman today, it fires both left and right hand sides of the brain. And if you're a student, if you're a child and listening to music, or if you're a child learning to play it, you have to have the creative side and you have to have the analytical side. And when both of your brains, left and right, are firing, how much more are you going to succeed at life? And it began to make me think about this, because I am going to be a jazz snob. It requires brain cells to understand what jazz music is. And the dumb music of today, or the entertainment of today, the music can suck, but they're sexy and they dance on stage wearing bathing suits. I'll watch it, or somebody will. But we've dumbed it down to the point where we can just focus on the blah. It's binge watching television. Why? Because why not? It's there. The jazz music to me is firing the brain cells of all the kids up, and myself.
So let me.
Damn, I'm a jazz snob.
You are a jazz snob, but I have to say that I'd rather listen to jazz than watch TV sometimes.
Yeah. Well,
seriously,
it's funny, Matt, because I've got it's now 8:00 my time. I've got a couple hours worth of video and photos to edit. It'll be probably 11:00 before I wrap up for the night. And the most exciting part to me is I'm gonna have jazz in my ears all night long. I'm gonna probably stay with Courtney Pine because that's what we're doing.
I don't know. You might want to move to the next week's artist. Are you ready to turn the page?
No. We've done this again. We're an hour into the conversation. Did it shake your world? And what did you rate it? We can't go to next week's until.
Okay. So let me tell you this. Did it shake my world? Man, this one right now is as close to being shaken as Wynton Marsalis week. Wynton, shook me, turned me upside down, emptied my pockets and everything else. I've only given a couple of 10s and
yeah,
it shook my world. The Courtney shook my world, and he's continuing even to shake my world. What about you?
It shook my world. It continues to shake it. So yes, it did. But okay. now I have to, with some hesitancy, although it's a good score, I'm going to have to tell you what I rated it at, and I will tell you following my rating. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, I gave this album an 8.5 the week that we listened to it. It would have, a year later, I'd have put him at a 10. But I gave him an 8.5. He shook my world. And I don't quite understand how I could justify that particular number. It was that week. Whatever else happened in my personal life, my personal taste would have been it. But the Journey to the Urge Within should have gotten from me a better score. But what did you rate it?
Okay, so I couldn't go all the way to the top, but I went 9.5, and I'm very happy with my score. I probably, if I could change it, I probably would go all the way up to 10. Just based on this week's listening, again, coming back at it, not with fresh ears, but with more experienced ears, more experienced knowledge on how to process jazz. I'd go all the way to 10 if I could, but 9.5 was my score.
First time listener to jazz music. Would this be an album on there?
This
Journey to the Urge Within?
Journey to the Urge Within.
Modern day jazz stories.
Either you pick. Don't
Yep.
care. I'd even do transition in tradition or spirituality.
Whew. Yeah.
I mean, Courtney Pine should be, in my opinion, and again, we did not make this list. We're following the Jazzwise top 100 albums that shook the world. But in my opinion, that's just my opinion from still an unconnoisseur, he should be in the top. He should be in the top 15.
Yep. I agree. I agree. And he should be on the top of everybody's list because of what he has meant to jazz music in his career. Period.
Yeah.
So next week's album.
Next week's album.
What are we in for, baby?
Okay, next week. You turn the page, and I'll talk about the Joe Harriott Double Quintet under the direction of John Mayer. Now, that's not the John Mayer that you may know from the radio. It's not that John Mayer. But the name of the album is called Indo Jazz Suite. The record label is EMI Columbia Lansdowne. EMI Columbia / Lansdowne series, and it was released on LP, and on the Atlantic label, it was released on CD. This, I remember specifically because this album comes up on my shuffle playlist, and you only need 5 seconds of the song for the recognizability factor of who this is. This is going to stretch your knowledge of jazz. This will stretch your appreciation for jazz. It may stretch you to say, why is this, or how is this jazz?
It touches on what we just talked about with Courtney, though, bringing in the West Indies style, bringing in that feel of Jamaica, bringing in this thing called it's called jazz because it's about a feeling. It's about presenting. Just looking at the cover, which is on screen right now, I'm reminded about what you're in for. It's blending cultures.
Yep.
It does make you wonder, how is this? But that's what jazz is. It's a musical language that people get to talk to one another through.
Yeah, and on this week, it looks like they may be speaking in an Indian accent.
I'm guessing there's some curry involved with this one. So check out this week's album, the John Harriott Double Quintet under the direction of John Mayer. This is going to be exciting.
Yeah, Indo Jazz Suite's the name of the album, and again, the album cover will be up. So we hope that you enjoyed our conversation on Courtney Pine today. If you got any questions, please feel free to leave a comment, give us a like, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. But thank you so much for checking us out.
And for all of the music educators, classical, marching, jazz, blues, for all of you music educators out there, thank you for pouring your heart and soul into teaching music to the students, old and young. Appreciate it. And for all the specific jazz musicians out there teaching jazz music to students, thank you for everything that you do. I'm on that kick this week, so thank you
For sure.
For all of it. From the Unconnoisseur channel, we thank you for joining us.
Have a great rest of your week. Thanks so much.
Cheers.